All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Cotton Ball Podcast, Keepers of Truth, Bridges of Love. We are here today with a dear friend, Banah Winn, the
Hello.
man, the myth, the legend. And we just met yesterday. Was it yesterday? Wow.
Exactly. It was yesterday.
Already
Yes,
best friends.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Which is a whole other lifetime at this point,
Yeah.
which seems to be happening every day.
Yeah, amazing. So, really nice to have you here with us. And I'm excited to get into a conversation with you, buddy.
Yes, me as well.
Yeah, learn a little bit about you and what you do.
Mm.
So, from what I know, you are a psychic, intuitive, soul song session magician who creates harmony
Mm-hmm.
wherever you go.
Yeah, that's a good start. Yeah.
In a gist, is that?
In a gist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Really combining the two worlds of music and intuition. My main passion is my creation called Harmony, which is kind of similar to a song circle in a way, but also very different because I see it as something that's very scalable. So it's really about breaking down the walls of audience and performer and creating these collective experiences. So um, essentially they're interactive concerts, but there's also an intuitive nature to what I do, which is like there's never a set list and there's never a plan, and I'm always sort of reading the energy of the group. And so the focus is on music and singing, but also it moves into other areas too, like movement. So um, meditation, even done like breath work and stuff like that. Adam before this group sort of like coherence healings, kind of similar to what Dr. Joe Dispenza does. I've done those at my events as well too. It's basically like a giant like group energy healing, but more than that, it's about just creating a space that feels incredibly playful and free, and is a huge joy fest. I'm always I'm either in the joy fest or trying to figure out if everyone's ready to go to the joy fest.
Helping to guide them there.
Helping them guide to be there without any attachment to it. You be there. So yeah, so music is definitely my main love, and also intuition, which I made a commitment, I guess, to myself. Even though I am a very flowy human, um, I am also very disciplined about the things I care about, and living from a place of intuition, which basically means I feel my way through life as opposed to think my way through life. And I still think my way through life sometimes, but whenever I do, it's the only time that I do things that I wish I hadn't. So, yeah.
And you do one-on-one sessions also, which is how I met you yesterday at the Santa Cruz Enlightenment Expo, I think is what it was called, right?
Yep.
Which was a really amazing experience for me. And yeah, seemed like you're using your intuition to help bring forward messages that really helped me in that moment, and guided me into utilizing my own voice in the session, which was really nice because we started to harmonize with each other. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that seems like that's kind of like when you're doing one-on-one, it's just more focused attention on.
Yeah, it's a more focused version of what I do with harmony, but also, so I've done a lot of different readings in the past. So maybe I told you this. I worked as a reader in Sedona for about a year, and
Reader meaning you're reading somebody's energy.
yeah, or as a psychic, I guess that
Mhm.
was the job title. Was like a psychic. I kept wanting to call it intuitive because I felt resistance to the idea of being psychic. I thought psychic meant we were like this like all-knowing person, and it like put you on a pedestal. And like my whole thing was like, well, everyone's intuitive, and I'm just, you know, it's just a skill I've been like practicing a lot I've been practicing all day, every day for the last 5 years, becoming hyper aware of it. So it just so happens that I've been to that gym a few more times more than most people. But of course, as it expands out, then like you start to, I guess, not gain, but like the natural extension of intuition is like it goes from just feeling to like then you may like be like seeing things or hearing things or stuff like that, which are associated with the feeling. But yeah, I did a number of types of readings. So I used to do tarot readings like quite a bit. Still can do them. It's not really my passion to do it. And then I started doing this type of readings called Akashic Records. Akashic Records is the universal library of everything that has ever been thought and done, all potential timelines, all realities. And I started doing those types of readings kind of as like a soul journey, like a soul map. So we could go through people's lifetimes. We were talking about this over dinner last night. And at first I was kind of like, well, why are we talking about anything outside of now? But I found that that gave a story, and it really helped people, really crafted a story for people that really helped understand themselves, because I found that like whatever I would be saying to the person, which those readings are pretty crazy, because like you just meet someone and you're like, hi, and you're like, now let me like literally just like talk at you for an hour as a human, knowing nothing about you, and then at the end like come out of sort of like the, I don't want to say trance state, but almost like a meditative state, and then I'll get to hear like their reflection on everything I said, and it's always like yeah, like super spot on and like super relevant to what they're going through. So as a reader, we come back to the idea of intuition, and it's really about I did this men's retreat recently, and someone kept quoting this thing how like the spectrum of electromagnetic information that's available to us as humans through our senses is like less than 1% of the whole spectrum. So there's a whole lot of information that like our eyes and ears, feeling, all that, and taste can't comprehend. So, but our feeling, like our internal feeling, our emotional feeling, is picking up on so much more. And so for me, like that's become my superpower. Is going from someone who was like totally closed off with how I felt to slowly opening up, and then like discovering that the nuance in what I was feeling is actually giving me information about people in the environment. So like say like you with doing the session, it's we're sitting across from each other, and so I, from as neutral of a place as I can be as a human, because like I recognize that we always have a there's always a perspective. I'm always like, my perspective is mine, that's my reality, yours is yours. And also just as neutral as I can, like recognizing, okay, I've gotten like pretty good at recognizing like what's like my own preconceived notions and stuff like that, and I try to like as much as I can let that stuff out of the way, and then just put all my focus and intention on the person that I'm doing the reading for, but with no expectation other than to listen. So it's basically like I'm really intently staring straight at you, but then I'm completely blanking my mind and looking just into the void inside you, and then whatever from that comes through will speak to me, and it usually starts speaking with feeling. Sometimes it'll there'll be messages for people right away. I've done sessions before with people where I was like telling them like really specific things, and like right away, and I'm just like, but like there's a feeling of knowing there. So I think in our session yesterday, I had a really interesting experience in our session yesterday, because immediately, is it okay if I talk about it?
Yeah.
Like you're such a just like ball of love, and I was like, oh, here's this very just spewing like love and good vibes at me, and I was like, oh, this is great. And so we're doing the session, and I don't want to be the person. I don't ever want to look for a problem. I don't want to look for a problem, and that was actually a thought, which is like, this is one thing I think about when you're working with people, is like, okay, well, if there's nothing to fix, then like how am I of value of this to this person, especially when there's like a monetary exchange. And so that's actually something like, yeah, the inner session I was like working through. I was like, well, if he's fine and we're just like playing together, then I'm like, I guess I just have to be okay with getting paid for just to play. And I was like, well, that sounds pretty good, so I guess I'm gonna be okay with that. But it was interesting because it was like the heart and up here was also clear, but then there was something in the stomach, and I was like, I don't want to like, and I had to check in with myself a few times because like I've also gone through some stuff in the last week, and so I don't ever want to like project something on someone and being like, oh, there's something in you that's wrong, kind of thing. But it started to like kind of come out naturally, and it revealed itself naturally. Um, and once it did, I was like, oh, it's this is something that's really important for you, and you began to tell the story a little bit. You divulged a little bit of the story of kind of what was going on, what was that creating it, and you talked about that defensiveness. And it was like sometimes I can feel something there, and like when it's a distortion, it always has its own little kind of unique signature. And for you, it was like yeah, it was like a defensiveness, but it was in a way I'd never felt before. So like I knew there was something there, but I couldn't figure out what it was. And then throughout the session we were doing it, I was like, oh, it had revealed itself. And I think this is also like the nature of life and reality, which is like, I think knowing is so powerful, and it literally is a state of being. And this is something I teach people. Like I have a course that I teach, intuitive psychic development, and really like practicing the state of knowing is something that's incredibly powerful, because the more familiar you get with it, the more you can admit to yourself when you don't know. And so the point is like, just because you know about one thing in one situation doesn't mean you're all knowing. And so it's like, I really think our life experience is expanding. It's an expansion of knowing, because like, what is knowing? Knowing is to live something, you know? There's nothing conceptual about it. It's a state of being. So like in our session, it was like, and I think that's the trust as an intuitive, when you're basically working with someone as you know, quote unquote, like an expert enough to, you know, literally receive from the other person for your work. You have to have sort of like a knowing of the process, and a knowing of your own skills and your ability in which to decipher things like very accurately, and rather quickly and effortlessly. But that doesn't mean you start knowing. And I think that's like one thing that is, I guess it's scary, but it's also become my favorite thing in the world, which is to put myself in situations seeming like I know what I'm doing, but at the same time, right when I start, I don't know anything more than anyone else there. But I have a really strong um, ability in which to really tune into my own guidance system, and to decipher things, and to allow things to, as they reveal themselves, to like understand them. and I think that's like really my superpower, is being able to do that. You know, there were times when I led vortex tours in Sedona. I would take people out on the land, and they'd say, you're so confident, you know exactly where you're going. And in my mind, I'd be like, I've never taken anyone to this spot before. In fact, I've never even been here before. You know, but I knew it. You can feel it. So, yeah.
Awesome.
That was me rambling at you a lot. How'd that go?
It was beautiful. No, this is what we're here for, is to have the discussion and get things out and talk about these wonderful things. And it makes so much sense to push yourself past your boundaries of what you think you're limited by, and extend yourself into a place that you haven't been, whether that's physically or mentally or emotionally. And you know, the term kind of fake it till you make it kind of seems like,
But it's not faking it.
right, it's
Yeah.
tapping into your own intuition and the things that are already there, but you don't necessarily know it until you step into the water. You don't know you can swim, because obviously, you know, you can talk about swimming, but until you're in the water, it's like you don't have the ability to test your swimming ability.
Yeah, I'm thinking now. I think the best way to describe it is that like, it's being an expert in sniffing the path, and being able to read the path and energy, because everything that happens, every detail that unfolds, is a result of a certain type of energy. Everything has an energetic signature to it. All of our stories have an energetic signature to it. Everything that happens in our life experience has an energetic signature to it. Not only like a residual of what's happened, but it's as someone who's reading, you're reading a precursor. You're basically saying, this person has this resonance in them that is this loud, and if they continue to broadcast this resonance with them and it gets louder and louder and louder, these are the types of experiences that will come into their life. So that's basically what we did. I'm sort of reading the person's resonance in there, and it's like, oh, love, love, love. Oh, something else going on down here in the stomach. There's a different resonance going on here, and I'm like, okay, well, let's explore this, and this is where the healing is. And then I think we joined all three together, kind of thing. So it's like, it's almost like you get to be an expert in the sense that you can read the essence of something, but the details are unfolding and revealing themselves to everyone at the same time. That's really what it is. Yeah.
I'm super grateful for your intuition and your guidance yesterday, and I know that I do have a lot of work to work on in my lower areas, which
Yeah, a lot of us do.
Yeah. And it was a beautiful song that you came out with, mantra of I am safe, and that really helped to like ground into the root. And even walking around that room by myself, my partner Bridget, who's usually here with us, but she's up taking care of her auntie, taking care of some family, and we're usually together, and so it feels like missing part of myself and being out in the world, because we usually don't go out too much anyways, and I don't really get out very much by myself. When I do go out, it's we're together. So I was definitely feeling like not very grounded, and just kind of in a room that had a lot of people and a lot of energy, that super high vibe. It was really a beautiful experience in there. What's the woman who put it together?
Tangela.
Tangela.
Yeah.
Yeah, and her partner Charlie. Shout out
to my homies.
Yeah, and they're doing another one coming up in, is it San Rafael?
San Rafael.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they got a bunch after that.
In the organization they have is Soul Search. Soulsearch.io, I think, is their website.
Yep.
And they're coming out with, they have their own TV channel.
Yeah, their own TV channel, which I was supposed to do a TV show. I was supposed to film it like a year ago. And if I had filmed the last 7 months of my life, I would have a really epic TV show.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can start now. Because
I have been starting, yeah.
You have lots of things coming ahead, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So you're currently on tour.
I'm currently on tour. Another tour has started.
And another one is just starting?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I finished the tour, I think it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago. It ended in Sedona. And this last tour actually kind of ended me in a bit of a challenging place. And so it was, I kind of had to make a decision what I was going to do next. And yeah, there was a lot of synchronistic signs pointing to Santa Cruz. And then I found out, well, Tangela and Charlie were hosting this event in Santa Cruz, and I was actually staying with them. The extra bedroom, I was staying with them for a few days in their house. And after seeing all these things about Santa Cruz and then finding out they're hosting an event here, I was like, I have to come. And then I had quite an adventure getting here. But I'm so glad I'm here now. And that was actually, I'll do that sometimes. Like I'll try to read into a timeline. And it's interesting. Sometimes it'll just be like one feeling, or other times I'm like, okay, what is it? I'll ask myself like, what's it gonna feel like to do this? And I'll close my eyes and I'll feel the journey in my body. So like this one was like, what's it gonna feel like to go to Santa Cruz? And like at first it was like, and it was like this like total burnout energy, and it felt like like really fucked up, and then it would like and it felt like this huge openness and this light and this wonder. And then I would ask like, okay, how am I gonna feel by the end of the weekend, like doing the event? And I was like, and I was like, okay, so gonna cuss on this? So
Yeah, totally.
so this drive and getting there is like really gonna fuck me up. And then by the end of the weekend, it's gonna be amazing. So what was my experience? The drive and like leading up to the that like really fucked me up. And then the doing the fair. By the end of it, I was like, oh, this is great. This is amazing. So I was like, okay, good. It's I like to see that. I'm like, okay, it still works.
Yeah. So your next stop, you're going up to Mount Shasta tomorrow. Is that your next?
Yeah, and that just feels really good. So
Yeah.
so it's just gonna be great.
Yeah.
It's gonna be just light and wonder and everything I need and want.
All right.
Yeah. So,
Such a special place up there.
so that'll be great. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna follow those ones from now on. I think I did.
And this is live, so if anybody's currently listening,
Mount Shasta. I'm
Mount
doing a
Shasta.
show on Tuesday.
and it's gonna be at.
Soul Connections Community Center.
Ooh, what a cool place!
Yep, doing it at the community center. I'll be doing one of my Harmony events, and then on Thursday I will be in Berkeley. So I don't think I can put the address online, but it'll be at someone's house in Berkeley. So if you want to go, reach out to me on Instagram, BANAHWINN.
Is that the best way for people to contact is through Insta?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool, man. It's so nice to have you here and get to know a little bit more about you. So you grew up in Oregon.
I grew up in Portland, Oregon.
Portland.
Born in Austin. Grew up in Portland. Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Yep.
Born there, moved out to Portland really young, or?
Yep. When I was three and a half. Yeah.
And lived there for?
Till end of high school, and then traveled Europe for about 9 months, a year, and then
Cool.
came
Just
back
straight out of high school?
Yep.
Solo?
I had a friend who was over there, and I met up with him, and then I did some solo traveling. Yeah, it was really fun. It was very debaucherous. I lived in Scotland.
18?
Yeah, I was 19.
19, yeah.
18, 19. Living in Scotland. Yeah,
Is that background of yours?
Scottish?
Mhm.
No, Welsh and German.
Mm.
Yeah.
Is that Winn? Is that?
Winston is short for Winston, is my grandfather.
Okay.
Yeah, Winn is my middle name. Yeah.
Winn Winston? Banah Winn Winston?
No, Winn is my middle name. Winn is short for Winston. So it's
And that's your middle.
Yeah.
Got it.
Banah Winn Augustine Ralph.
4 names.
Yeah, all the names. Yeah.
Cool. And you just turned 40. Happy birthday just a few days ago.
Thanks.
Tell the world. You made it.
I'm 29.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, I just turned 40.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man. You as well, huh?
Feel good?
Yeah.
Sounds like you want to go back.
No, there's no going back.
Okay.
I don't care. It's yeah, it was interesting. That was like quite an initiation day. It was like my 40 years of life like completely crumbled.